Wednesday. Welcome back, guys.
We are excited to be back here talking to you.
Today we've got a really fun episode. It's about our life before Portugal. But if you haven't listened to the previous episode about why we made the decision to move to Portugal, go check that out. Listen to that and then come back. So let's dive into it.
Let's do it.
Hi, I'm Morgan.
And I'm Louie.
And welcome to our podcast.
Last episode, we finished off with me applying.
Us moving to Massachusetts.
And
you applying for citizenship.
Not realizing how we were going to do it. And then we went to the consulate and she told me have I ever thought about applying for citizenship through descent? And I didn't even know it was possible. I didn't even know it was a thing. Yeah. Let me tell you what I needed to get that process rolling.
Yeah, we realized that we forgot to mention that in the last episode, so we'll tell you here.
Yeah.
So what documents were needed?
I needed my birth certificate. I needed one of my parents' birth certificates. I needed their marriage certificate. And at the time, this was 2023?
I think so, that sounds about right.
It was, I think, $250
In cash. Yep.
So that was my experience. And I'm not saying that's going to be the same exact for you, but your best bet is to check with your local consulate representative, or if you're going through a representative, and see exactly what you would need in this day and time.
Yeah. Okay, so life leading up to Portugal, guys. If you don't remember from last episode, we moved to Massachusetts. That's what he's just talking about. We sold our house. At the time, we had an entire house full of things, and we packed everything up. We U-hauled it all the way to Massachusetts, and we kept it in storage. And we lived with his Portuguese parents for about a year, and that was a great experience. But we decided things were so expensive that we were going to move back to Virginia. I had family, and our goddaughter had just been born, so we moved back to Virginia. We drove all the way back.
It made the most sense.
It did. And when we moved back, we actually moved into an apartment instead of buying a house, knowing that it wouldn't be our forever. So we moved into an apartment, and that kind of really forced us to get rid of things, and because like everything from our house just wouldn't fit. So we did. We got rid of a lot of stuff. We did buy some things that we needed for our apartment. But I mean, we had to live there. We had no clue how long we were going to live there. At the time, his citizenship was pending, and we weren't 100% sure how long that was going to take.
Yeah, because we had heard stories of it being,
years.
I got mine in 4 months till I got mine in 4 years.
Yeah.
So we're pretty much just kind of, I hate to say riding it out, but in a way we're kind of both checked out. But we downsized.
Yep.
And we're trying to
kind of like manifest that dream a little bit, knowing that we don't know when it'll be. So we live in the apartment, and a lot of things happened. It was a really hard time for us. We had a dog, he passed away, and then there was like an emergency in our apartment where that forced us to move. It destroyed quite a bit of our furniture. So in a way, I look back and I'm like, I feel like that was like the universe or God being like, it's coming, like you're being forced to get rid of these things that are messed up. And so we did, and we moved to another apartment not too far away.
Let me say something before you go on. That day that this accident happened in the apartment, we're standing outside. Emergency is taking care of whatever they need to, and Morgan comes up to me outside and says, "Babe, this is a sign. This is just a sign that we're downsizing even more and we're getting closer to Portugal." And I was in shambles because of what happened. And Morgan is over here trying to take the most positive road to our path to Portugal. And
it was crazy because I didn't actually feel any negativity from it.
I could see it in her face. She did not.
It was so weird. It was like a really big deal. And I didn't feel like afraid or scared or sad or anything. And yeah. It was just like, I just knew, I was like, this is a necessary step to get.
You looked at it in a positive way.
It was natural. It felt right.
Amazing.
So then we moved to another apartment, and we obviously lived with even less. And we decided then and there that we were going to be more mindful. And so we paid off our car, and we tried to stop eating out as much. Or if we did, it was really cheap, you know, and we really just like, we lived on almost nothing. Like our apartment was so empty. And I get asked a lot of times, like, I want to move to Portugal. What should I start doing? What is my first step? Where do I begin with this? And if I can tell you what the first step should be, 1,000,000% over and over again, downsize. We downsized like 4 times, I think.
Yeah, probably a couple of more, honestly.
Yeah, and
it seems like we did.
The downsizing for us didn't end. It started years prior, and it didn't end until literally the day we were moving. Like I'm talking like dropping off the last few boxes of things that we were still using but couldn't take with us at Goodwill or my mom or my sister. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So
it was one of those things.
Stuff.
Get rid of it. In the last moment, you're like, make me an offer.
Yeah, take it.
I can't take it with me. So
anything. Yeah. So downsize. Just anything that you don't use, get rid of it now.
That time frame of getting rid of stuff is really stressful.
Yeah.
Really stressful because you're. Not only are you getting ready for a big move, your life is just being sold away. Like I sold my Nintendo with all its games to some dude.
It's heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking.
It's like these tangible items that you're so sad to let go. Like for me, it was Christmas or Christmas decor. I was determined. I'm like, I'm at least bringing the special ornaments.
And she did, which I'm very thankful for.
Yeah.
I still was able to keep my WWF Hasbro action figures, which were at Morgan's mom's house.
Tupperware box of them.
Yeah, so I still have those.
Yeah, they're there. I don't know how we're gonna bring those suckers
I couldn't
here.
bring
Maybe
myself
a little
to
bit
sell
at a
them.
time
Yeah.
if we can.
I'm a nerd at heart for old school WWF.
Yeah. So, okay. So like the next talking point, right? Like we're living in Virginia and we're like waiting and like we're waiting for his citizenship.
Now, if I can jump in real quick, mind you, there's no way to track my citizenship. There's no app, there's no number that you type in and it takes you to the next website. You literally would have to email your representative, in my case again, right? Your representative at the consulate, and she would reply to you when she got a moment to, which could have been that night, week, who knows.
Yeah.
And you just hope for an answer. So every month, literally, I was emailing her, asking like, "Hey, good morning. Am I a Portuguese citizen yet?" And I'd get the "No, not yet. Try back next month. No, not yet. Try back next month."
Oh, something I forgot to mention, guys. It's really cool. Is and it relates to this. Before we moved from one apartment to the other, we had a really good friend who does like tarot reading.
This is cool.
Yeah.
And I know not a lot of people believe in this, right? But like, us Portuguese, we're pretty superstitious. I mean, my mom always talked about bruxas e maui feiticeiras e tudo.
So we have a friend who does tarot reading, and we were like, you know what? Why don't we take her up on the offer? She offered to do a reading for us. And we're like, yeah, that sounds so fun. And it was like an excuse to talk to her because she lives in the Azores. She says something major is going to happen in June and November of this year. She's like, I don't know what, but I see something for you guys. And
let me tell you, that February, we just lost our dog. We just moved back to Virginia. It was very stressful, and we were like, that seems so far away. Like, we can't even imagine thinking about anything in the future, this immediate future right now.
Yeah.
So.
And so fast forward, we're living in the new apartment, and June rolls around. Louie sends his email to the consulate, and I get a phone call, I don't know, a day or so later maybe, from Louie. And I remember, you guys are gonna judge me, I remember I was sitting on the toilet and had been doing stuff, and I just went to go pee, and I was sitting on the toilet and you called me, and I picked it up, and I remember you being like, babe, guess what? And I was like, what? And you were like, I got my citizenship. And I was like, no, you didn't.
I was at work when that happened.
No, you didn't.
Too.
Yeah, he was at work.
I was very stoked.
Yeah, I was like, no, you didn't. I didn't believe it, because I was like, I think I didn't believe it because the first thing that popped into my mind was she was right. June, she was right. It happened. And the way that things work out sometimes absolutely blows my mind. So that being said,
very cool.
It took about 13 months for you to get your citizenship, right?
It was about 13 months. Every month I would check in with Claudia, our representative, and she would give me the sad news. And then one day it happened, and it took about a year, a little over a year.
What was your initial thought when you found out? Like when you opened that email?
I read the email probably about 3 or 4 times to make sure I was I knew I was reading it right, but it was one of those exciting moments where it's like, we did it.
Yeah.
We got it.
So freaking cool.
What a defining moment in your life, because now it's not just about obtaining Portuguese citizenship, you know, it's that and being proud of where my mother, my father, their heritage, but it's also about, this is also going to help my wife and I to start a new life.
Absolutely, it's been our dream for years now. Yeah. I wanted to mention something, this is also so random, but I think it's really cool. I remember when we first moved back to Virginia, we were going through like a little antique shop in one of the areas, and
in Virginia.
Yeah. Mind you, there's like no Portuguese in Virginia. Very, very few, very small community, but the area where we live, there's none.
I was the only Portuguese guy there.
And so we were in this little antique shop, and we were looking around at everything. They had a ton of jewelry, and Louie goes, "Look, that's an escudo." And I was like, "No way." And then he's like, "It is." And I was like, "That is so crazy. Like, what are the chances of," and you know, at the height of manifesting our dream, of thinking about our dream, of planning for our dream, this little symbol shows up. And
for those of you who didn't hear Morgan, it was an escudo. Or an escudo, right? Which was prior to the euro. It was the currency.
I guess I should have clarified. Yeah, it was the currency in Portugal prior to the euro.
Which is not in.
It's not used.
It's not used anymore. Yeah. So to find that at an antique shop in Virginia.
So cool, really right? Cool. Really like cool. Not just a euro, right? Like it's not just like finding a euro. It's finding the Portuguese currency, the old school Portuguese currency. Yeah. That's so cool.
Really cool.
And not only that, but it was in a necklace, right?
Yeah. It had a hole in it, so you could put it on a chain, a small chain. Like,
so we bought it, and I wore that thing all the time, and it was a constant reminder, and it was a piece of manifestation for us, and I wore it as a lucky charm a lot of the times, and it worked so much. Like I truly believe that thing. I put so much faith into it, and it truly like gave me that back, I guess. And that's like something else I want to mention is like if you have a goal, like find something tangible to remind you, find something tangible to, you know, help you. Every single day you wake up, you see this thing, and you're like, this is a reminder that that's what I want, and that's what I'm going to go for. And that's what I used it as. And like even still to this day, when we went to IMA, I had it in my pocket.
It's a good luck charm.
Yeah, and like it ended up working out, so really cool.
That's such a cool thing to put out there.
Just a
little
story.
That's such a cool thing to put out there, babe.
Yeah, okay, so Louie gets citizenship. I do wish we had been together when that happened, but you know, that's all right.
Now we're trying to figure out, okay, we have our ticket. When do we want to execute this life-changing move?
Yeah.
And we're like, I don't know, but we better start thinking about this sooner than later.
Yeah, for sure.
Because in my head, even a couple of years ago, I know it's funny, right? And I would always see 2025. It's one of those things I had in my head. I see, babe, I think we're going to move there summer of 2025. And that would excite us, right? Whether it was, a placebo effect in my head, or if that's, it was like she had her charm. I had this goal of 2025 being here in the summer.
Yeah.
So when we found out we got citizenship, we could now act. It was still 2024, but now we have the opportunity to act faster.
Yeah. But still enough time, right? Like a year later, we're like, we can make this happen in a year, I think, right?
Right. Yeah. We're thinking about a year out. Yeah. So the summer goes, I get a new position at work. It pays decently more.
I started taking lessons around that time.
Now the dream is
it's really
hit the ground running. Morgan started taking lessons with her tutor, Isabel, online.
Yep.
Morgan and I would start watching YouTube videos about walking tours in Portugal.
Just kind of like daydreaming, right?
Manifesting this dream, listening to it, just really making it almost like we're there. Yeah,
Isabel told me, why don't you start watching RTP? So I found like an old Amazon Fire Stick that we'd had. And
because we did in Massachusetts, my dad had RTP.
Yeah, exactly. So we put it on our TV, and I would play the news, the Portuguese news, or like whatever. The Portuguese Kids, they had a show on RTP. I would play that. Wow, what an insane thing. You guys will get to that. We'll get to the Portuguese kids in the future. Now we're like, how are we, this goal is closer than it's ever been.
Now that we're daydreaming, now we're on that, now we still got to deal with everyday life. Like we still have to go to work and
try to save
and not go to Taco Bell every night and not eat Krispy Kreme donuts by the dozen. I get a promotion at work. I'm not the happiest there. The summer goes by, fall comes around, I'm in this new position, and we're still waiting, like, when can we do this? When can we do this plan? So, I get a new boss at work, and I don't like the way this dude's handling things, if I can be brutally honest. And I don't like the way he's handling business, so I'm done. I call my wife, and it's early, it's like 7 a.m, I think, because I got in there early, and the first phone call I got was from this new boss of mine, and I was done with him. So I call my wife and I say, babe, I'm done with this job. I'm not doing this anymore. And she goes, if I could find us a place, let's backtrack. We kind of go our separate ways. She consoles me, we go our separate ways. We call each other back. She's like, if I could find a place for us to live, would you want to move sooner than later? And I said, you know what? If we can afford it, let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because up to that point, part of our problem is
pushing the button to go.
Yeah, and I've also been reading horror stories about how people get leases and they really get scammed, and it's so hard to find a lease in Portugal.
Yeah,
and all of that, because we're not buying property. We're just gonna go rent until we figure out where we want to be.
Can I interject that originally we wanted to move? I know I touched on it real quick, but we wanted to move originally to San Miguel. Mm-hmm. We had visited the island twice, and we absolutely fell in love with it. It's where my dad's from. It was a super slow way of life that we were looking for. Mm-hmm. We started looking, and it looked like housing was going to be hard to come by there. Yeah. So, I was like, well, we should probably open up to the mainland. The thing is, mainland is huge compared to San Miguel. So we're like, oh my goodness.
We're so overwhelmed. So then he hits me with, if you can find us a place, yes. So my number one thing is, like my first to do was I reached out to my tutor / friend Isabel, and I was like, Isabel, if you could live anywhere in Portugal, because her family is from the Azores, and she lives in Lisbon, and she has for a long time. So I was like, if you could live anywhere in Portugal, where would you move? And she was like, I would move to Aveiro, and which I had known because she's sent me pictures and stuff. They visit here quite often, and I was like, okay, let's look into that. So we started watching walking tours and doing a little bit of research on Aveiro, and we were like, sounds good to me. Yeah. It looks great to me. And that was it. We literally were like, okay, that is.
It was a roll of a dice, really. Like you said it, we watched it on YouTube, and we literally took a chance because Morgan was able to find a place there.
Crazy. Like I look back on like everything that's happened, and I'm like,
it was scary, right? Like think about it. We were working with this landlord through WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Like we're thinking, we have the possibility of getting really scammed here, but we are so ready to do this. We opened up, different Portuguese bank account, and we're totally serious about this.
I feel like that is like the gist of it, right? So we're like, okay, we're gonna hit the ground running with Aveiro.
Now, when do we want to do this? I'm like, okay, babe, here's my summer of 2025 dream that I've had. Let's do it in June 2025. Morgan's like, no, I think we should do it in February. I was like, February? It's November of 2024. And I'm like, I'm getting scared because now this is really happening. Mm-hmm. And although I want this to happen, it's very, very scary. It's a huge life change for me, my wife, our cats.
Yeah. And something that I feel like we have to mention, along with Louie's unhappiness at work, there's quite a few instances that kind of made the decision, made our decision to move sooner happen, right? Like it was like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like just a few things happened that we were like, yeah, I think that maybe we should go sooner. And one of them was that I was home. We were living in the apartment that we had moved to, and Louie was at work, and at the time his mom was living with us, and she had stepped out to go to like our apartment clubhouse. And I was standing there. It's a Tuesday afternoon in, what was that, like August or September?
Yeah, it was September.
Broad daylight, like 6 p.m. And I mean, I can remember it vividly, like the sunshine shining through our doors and everything. And I'm standing in the kitchen, and like our front door is right here to my left. And 6 o'clock, I'm washing dishes, and all of a sudden, like I think it was like 7 to 10 gunshots rang outside of our door. And when I say outside of our door, I literally mean outside of our door. Like I was like, I know what a gunshot sounds like. I know that's right there. And like I ducked down and then like crawled around the island over to the other side where there was more space between me and that wall, because there's like a bathroom in between. And I immediately called 911. And then I immediately called Louie, and I was like, honey, someone just shot a gun outside of our door. And you were like, what? Wait, what? What do you mean? And then I was like, wait, I gotta call, we'll hang up with you. I called his mom. I was like, do not come home. Someone shot a gun, you know, like don't come home. Like it was absolutely terrifying for me to know that like that happened right outside of our home. Like I grew up in this area. I was not prepared for something like that to ever happen so close to home. And I remember like later that night after the cops left, you and I went outside to check it out, and there was a bullet hole. The person had like come up the stairs on the other side facing our door, and there was like an apartment there that must have been doing something sketchy, and they shot like facing our door. So there were like bullet holes that if they had even moved like just a foot over would have been straight at our door in our bedroom. There was a bullet hole in our bedroom wall, like where our headboard is, and like I am a very coddled person. I didn't grow up with violence or anything like that, and so like that was a big deal for me. And I think just with like everything else, you being unhappy in that, and you know, regardless of what your political beliefs are, things aren't getting easier in the United States. And I think it was just like, I think I'm done. I think I'm not safe here anymore. On top of that, I had been searching, thinking we'll save more money. So I'll go to work for a few months, and then we'll move like the end of 2025, and I'll save more money just for our move. And I couldn't find a job anywhere. So there was that as well. I applied to a ton of stuff, just administrative work, and it just wasn't happening. And I think there were just so many little things that were like, it's not time. You know, you guys aren't supposed to be here anymore, clearly, you know. So yeah, so now I think...
Morgan's like, let's go as soon as we can. And I'm like, are you sure you want to do this in February, not June?
So now I think that's a great place to wrap up this episode. I feel like we spilled so much in this one. I know that probably a lot of you resonate with us, which is such a beautiful and maybe sad thing at the same time. So now it's crunch time, and we've got to make this move happen. And if you guys want to hear about that, you'll just have to wait till next week's episode. Sorry, not sorry. We'll see you next week. Beijinhos.
Hello.